All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about some science that pretty much challenges everything we assume about life itself, specifically that getting older is inevitable. But what if it's not? What if you could actually treat aging? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a statement that might just blow your mind a little. This comes from Dr. David Sinclair, a huge name in this field. He argues that aging isn't just a natural thing that happens over time. No, he says it's a specific condition that we can actively fight. I mean, that's a really bold idea, and if he's right, it changes absolutely everything.
So that naturally leads to the big question, right? If we start thinking of aging as a disease, well, what's the prescription? How do we combat it? The answers, it turns out, are surprisingly simple, and they have a lot to do with bringing a little bit of healthy struggle back into our super comfortable modern lives.
To really get the treatment, we first have to understand the cause. And we're not just talking about wrinkles or gray hair here. This goes way deeper. It's about a fundamental breakdown of information happening inside our very own cells. So let's meet the key players.
Meet the heroes of our story, the sirtuins. You can think of these 7 genes as your body's personal, elite repair crew. They are fantastic at protecting your cells from decay and disease. But, and this is a big but, they're kinda lazy. They only get up and go to work when your body thinks it's in some kind of trouble.
And that right there brings us to the central problem. Our modern world is just designed for comfort, right? Convenience, plenty of food, you name it. But it turns out that very comfort is basically putting our natural longevity defenses to sleep.
And this just shows you the huge mismatch between our ancient genes and our modern lives. Our bodies evolved expecting hardship, times of hunger, blasts of cold, moments where we had to run or fight. But what do we give them? The exact opposite. Constant food, perfect temperatures, and a whole lot of sitting around. We've basically eliminated the very signals our longevity genes are waiting for.
So here's what happens. When our sirtuin repair crew has no emergencies to respond to, they get bored, they get distracted, they stop doing their main job, which is policing our DNA, and this causes our cells to lose their identity. They forget what they're supposed to be. And it's this loss of information, not just simple wear and tear, that really drives the aging process.
This comfort crisis has very real consequences. Just take obesity, for example. Excess fat tissue becomes this breeding ground for what are called senescent cells. A better name for them? Zombie cells. Seriously, they're old cells that are supposed to die but don't. Instead, they just hang around pumping out all these inflammatory chemicals that speed up aging all over your body.
So how do we wake up our defenses? How do we get that repair crew back on the job? Well, let's dive into the first principle, and it's all about using the power of hunger by changing when we eat.
Now, this is a massive shift in thinking for a lot of us. For decades, it's all been about what you eat, right? Good food, bad food. But this science suggests that the timing of your meals might be even more powerful for activating those crucial sirtuin pathways. And the process itself is surprisingly straightforward. When you just skip a meal, your insulin levels drop. And that drop, that's the wake-up call. It's the alarm bell that tells your sirtuin genes to get to work. And just like that, your body's internal repair and defense systems kick into high gear. You know, the best part is how practical this is. Dr. Sinclair's advice couldn't be simpler. Just try to skip 1 meal a day. Could be breakfast, could be dinner, whatever works for you. Sure, it might be a little tough for the first week or so, but your body totally adjusts, and the benefits for your longevity can be profound. Hunger isn't the only beneficial stressor we can use, though. There are other powerful ways to flip these switches, and they include certain supplements and specific kinds of exercise. So check this out. This is a great example. Resveratrol. It's a molecule found in things like red wine. In one study, mice that got a dose every single day didn't really see much of a benefit. But the mice that got it only every other day, they lived dramatically longer. This shows us a key principle. Our bodies love intermittent stress. It's the cycle of challenge, then recovery, that really gets our defenses working. Another tool is the drug metformin. Now, some people worry it's going to hurt their gains at the gym, but the research shows that, yeah, it might reduce your stamina a bit during a workout, but the muscle you build is just as strong and has way less inflammation. So it's a trade-off. You might give up a tiny bit of muscle size, maybe 5%, for some really powerful anti-aging benefits. Beyond diet, we can also create something called a metabolic winter.
It just means reintroducing a little bit of cold stress. Simple things, really, like sleeping in a cooler room or not overdressing when it's cold out. It forces your body to burn more energy to stay warm, which activates those same survival circuits. And of course, exercise is absolutely critical, especially aerobic exercise, which boosts NAD. And NAD is basically the fuel for our sirtuin repair crew.
Okay, so we've got all these incredible tools to wake up our longevity genes. But how do you actually know if skipping that meal or sleeping in a cold room is working for you? That brings us to our last and I think most empowering section, measurement.
Imagine this. Imagine having a single, simple number that tells you how well you're aging. Kind of like a credit score, but for your body. A score you could track over time to see the direct impact of your lifestyle choices. Well, that's the future of personalized health, and it's already here.
This is now possible with what are called biological age tests. These things go way beyond your birthday. They measure the true age of your cells by looking at your epigenome. Those are the chemical tags on your DNA that tell your genes what to do. It's an incredibly powerful feedback tool. You can make a change, like skipping a meal, and then test again in a few months to see if you've actually slowed or maybe even reversed your biological clock.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. If you could get that number tomorrow, your body's real score, what's the very first thing you would do differently? It's a powerful question to ask yourself, because the science is showing us that now, for the first time, we actually have the tools to change that number.